What up? What up? What up, y'all? Hey, Diddy, them people are on your head, my boy. They on your head. They not playing with your ass. Diddy has been sued again, and I know this is a late night stream, but this is prime time for me. I'm wide awake. I'm energized and I'm wired. All right, y'all. So let's read through this lawsuit and see what's going on. I might need to put my glasses on for this one. Hold on. I have to put my glasses on like an old woman. This lawsuit is going to be against Sean Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Sean John Clothing Line, Universal Music. Hey, they are coming after everybody. And this is going to be from Crystal McKinney, and she wants a trial by jury. I want to know who her lawyers are. I wonder who. Oh, okay. Right here. It tells us in the first line. I should have just waited. All right, so let's start reading this thing. Plaintiff Crystal McKinney, by and through her attorneys Phillips and Associates, hereby the defendant Sean P Diddy Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, etc., alleges upon information and belief as to all that matters. So let's take a look at the nature of action. So the plaintiff brings suit against defendants pursuant to NYC gender motivated violence to redress the substantial and lifetime injuries she has suffered as a result of being and assaulted by Sean P. Diddy Combs. The court has jurisdiction over this action as there is complete diversity between the parties and the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. Plaintiff is a citizen of the state of Georgia. All right. She a down south southern girl. That's who's suing. Defendant is Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy LLC, Sean John Clothing, Universal Music Group. She is suing everybody. She's pulling the Cassie. That's just some more stuff talking about how and why she's able to sue him, because New York has this gender motivated violence act where there's a look back period where if you've been assaulted during a certain period of time, even though this is very old, she's alleging that this happened well over 15 years ago. New York City has an act put in place where you can seek civil action. So, all right. So here's the defendant. P Diddy, aka Puff Daddy or Diddy, is a Grammy Award musician, rapper, producer. In 1992, P Diddy founded Bad Boy Records. In 2008, P. Diddy was the first male rapper to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I didn't know that. Learned something new. In 2022, Forbes estimated that P. Diddy is one of the wealthiest hip-hop artists in America and that his net worth is over $1 billion. Now, I do know about that. Most of Diddy's net worth actually came from his deal with Ciroc and De Leon. They was paying him some bank, boy. He made some money off of them. All right, let's continue. Upon information and belief, P. Diddy has a long history of committing physical and blank violence against women and men, as documented in publicly available lawsuits and extensive media coverage everywhere. So her lawyers is pretty much setting it up like, look, this guy has been sued by a couple people, and my girl want to get in because he hurt her too. When it rains, it pours, Diddy. All right. On November 16th, Cassie Ventura, as an artist signed on Bad Boy Records, filed a suit in the United States District Court of the Southern District of New York, alleging that Combs provided her with copious amounts of drugs and sexually assaulted her. I'm trying to, blink the words out so I don't get kicked off of YouTube. But Cassie pretty much said that Combs doped her up and he also assaulted her in any way possible. All right. Right now, they're listing all the people that have, claimed lawsuits against Puff Daddy. So they started out with Cassie of November 16th, 2023. Now we're going to November 23rd. Joy Dickerson Neal filed a suit in the Supreme Court of New York alleging that Combs drugged and assaulted her and filmed a revenge porn tape of his assault. So that's case number 2. Case number 3, on November 23rd, Liza Gardner filed a lawsuit alleging that Combs and Aaron Hall assaulted her when she was a minor. That one is going to be, this is why the feds are really on this. See, Cassie was like the nail to kind of get things going. But when you start bringing in people saying they were kids and they were taken advantage of when they're kids, that's when Homeland Security gets involved. So that's why he was essentially raided by them boys, because you had people saying that he was touching on them as kids. All right, so Liza Gardner said that she was assaulted by P Diddy and Aaron Hall when she was a minor. On November 6th, a Jane Doe filed a lawsuit alleging that she was a minor and she was gang blanked by P Diddy, Harv Pierre, and a third assailant. So that's another kid. You have two women who said they were minors or kids when they had this type of situation happen to them by Puff Daddy. Once again, that is why Homeland Security is involved. On February 26th, Rodney Jones filed suit in the United States District Court of the Southern District of New York, alleging that Combs assaulted him and provided laced alcoholic beverage to minors. So that's your third time where they're bringing minors in, and y'all see why the feds are trying to look into this. All right, let's get into the defendants. In 1992, Combs founded Bad Boy Records, a record label which has sold over 500 million records, where he produced Mary J. Blige, the Notorious B.I.G., and Usher. I bet Usher is like, why y'all don't bring me in this, all right? I don't want to be involved in this, all right? I was a kid myself. All right, on February 6th, Combs signed a distribution deal with Universal Records. So this is why they want to sue Universal, because they feel like Puff Daddy was an artist and they were essentially responsible for him. Now, let's get into the factual allegations. This is where all the tea finna come in at. She's about to tell us what allegedly happened. Let's get into it. At the age of 17, the plaintiff won MTV's inaugural model mission on December 5th, 1998, a televised model competition similar to Miss America, and was awarded a modeling contract with IMG. Shortly thereafter, the plaintiff's career took off. The plaintiff modeled for Tommy Hilfiger jeans. Plaintiff also was featured in Macy's catalog, Elle, and other magazines. Plaintiff also made appearances in television and film programs such as MTV's Total Request Live, Fashionably Loud, True Life, and a movie with Joan Rivers. Furthermore, plaintiff had international modeling gigs in Germany and Australia. All right, this is where she meets Puff Daddy. A fashion designer invites the plaintiff to Men's Fashion Week to meet Combs. In 2003, when plaintiff was 22 years old, a fashion designer invited the plaintiff to attend Men's Week, an event held in downtown New York, is what we'll say. At the time, the plaintiff was engaged in modeling gigs in Miami, Florida, and flew to New York for the event. The designer told plaintiff that he would be interested in introducing her to Combs, which could advance her modeling career. The designer began to direct the plaintiff's appearance as he sought to ensure Combs found her attractive. For instance, the designer instructed plaintiff to go to Elizabeth Arden to get a rouge touch-up to ensure she was a platinum blonde. The designer also scheduled a stylist to put in her hair extensions for the plaintiff. Hey, whoever this designer is like, girl, you got to have some long hair and it got to be platinum blonde if you're going to impress P. Diddy. The designer then handpicked a black leather coat with a fur hood, translucent chiffon beige V-cut shirt, fur-lined handbag, and jewelry-encrusted jeans for the plaintiff to wear to the event. Due to the traumatic events to occur later, plaintiff saved the unwashed clothing from that night in her closet. Whoa. Okay, this is important. Due to the traumatic events to occur later, the plaintiff saved the unwashed clothing from that night in her closet, where they remain in plastic wrap. Wow. So they're saying whatever happened that night, she kept all the evidence. She kept her clothes. Oh my. When did this happen again, y'all? This happened in 2003, almost over 20 years ago. Damn, do I got clothes from 20 years ago? All right, let's finish reading the lawsuit. So, Combs makes promises of career advancement. Soon after, the plaintiff took a car to downtown New York where the designer was dining with Combs and other guests. The plaintiff felt little control over the events that she was directed to do and to put on display for others in attendance. So, she's pretty much saying, look, I was in a situation where There were more powerful people around me. I had people telling me what to do, so I was just kind of here. For instance, plaintiff sat down at an empty seat next to the designer, but he insisted that she sit down directly across from Combs instead. Who's the designer? This sounds like somebody who was kind of helping. This is why they're trying to hit this boy with a RICO, because they're trying to say that Puff Daddy be having people lined up to do his dirty work. We need to find out who this designer is. All right. And she's pretty much saying the designer was like, yo, go sit right across from Puff Daddy so he can look at you. If you want to book this gig, you need to be in his face. That's pretty much what she's saying the designer said. All right. Once seated, Combs made a very public display of coming on to the plaintiff in a sexual, suggestive manner, which continued throughout the dinner. Just so y'all know, I don't know if y'all know or not, this woman is a blonde white woman. All right. So she's pretty much saying throughout the dinner, Puff Daddy was saying weird stuff to her. He was coming on to her. She felt uncomfortable. So that's where we're at. She said that Combs bestowed compliments on her by stating, for example, that she was beautiful and that her eyes were gorgeous. Later on, and at a more intimate volume, the Combs told plaintiff that she was going to make it big in modeling one day. Combs went on to tell the plaintiff that he had power in the industry and was going to help her advance her career. Combs provided the plaintiff with his phone number as a gesture of good faith and his promises to help her. Through their interactions, Combs was flirtatious, bordering on leering as he leaned across the table towards her. Combs also plied plaintiff with alcohol throughout the dinner as he repeatedly refilled her glass with wine. This is a thing. In almost every single lawsuit with Puff Daddy, they all say he likes to get you tipsy. Okay? And what Cat Williams said, you got to tell him no. But I can understand her as a young girl. She probably felt completely powerless in this situation where she probably could not tell him no. All right. So after the meal, Combs told the plaintiff that he wanted to get to know her better. Combs asked the plaintiff to call him a bit later. The plaintiff felt confused but hopeful that Combs would fulfill his promises to her to help her career. All right, so after the dinner, she went back to the studio. So let's see what happened at the studio. So in big bold letters, it says, plaintiff meets Combs at his studio where he drugs and blank assaults her. Later that night, Combs requested that the plaintiff come to the studio. The plaintiff felt reassured that she would be with others at the studio rather than alone in his personal residence. When the plaintiff arrived, she found that Combs and several other men were seated together. She found that they were passing around a bottle of Hennessy and joints. Okay, sis, this is hip hop. In the 2000s, they have Hennessy and they have weed, okay? After the plaintiff sat down, one of Combs' associates asked her, do you smoke weed? To which she responded, yeah. And then she said that Combs' associate said, you ain't never had no weed like this before. Woo. That's them dirty blunts. Plaintiff later came to understand that Combs had laced the joint with a narcotic or other intoxicating substance. What they put in the weed? See, I don't do drugs, y'all. So I don't know nothing about this lifestyle. I don't do drugs. All right. Combs passed her the joint, and the plaintiff took a hit, which felt very powerful. Although the plaintiff insisted that she had had enough, Combs pressured her to take in more alcohol and more marijuana by telling her, she was acting too uptight. So she felt like Puff Daddy was pressuring her, like, loosen up, keep drinking, sir. You got to tell him no. Sir, I drunk enough at dinner. I don't want to keep drinking. But she's saying she felt pressure. They kept telling her, you need to drink some more. Keep hitting the blunts. You got to tell him no. All right. The plaintiff felt that as if she was floating, pretty much based off of all the drugs and alcohol. She started to feel high. Okay. Seeing the plaintiff was very intoxicated, Combs demanded that the plaintiff follow him and physically led the plaintiff to the bathroom. In the bathroom, Combs forced himself on the plaintiff and began kissing her without her consent. Diddy. We got to get things together in life. You know what I'm saying? I think even all the way down to the Disney movies, there is this construct that life has had, especially in the United States for the past, I don't know how many years, that men feel like I need to just take control and take charge. This is what women want. So I don't know if he felt like this is what men do, like we take control, but no, sir. She don't have, she can't consent. She ain't want to do that. She ain't come here for that. She came here trying to be a model, and now you got the girl in the bathroom. All right. In the bathroom, Combs forced himself on the plaintiff and began kissing her without her consent. Combs then shoved her head down to his crotch before commanding her to suck it. See, this is why I'm gay. Okay. Plaintiff refused, but Combs pushed her head down and forced her to perform oral sex on him. As she was being assaulted, the plaintiff felt panicked and physically sick. Afterwards, Combs led the plaintiff back into the studio. Upon standing and walking, the plaintiff felt more and more woozy and then lost consciousness. The plaintiff awakened in shock to find herself in a taxi cab heading back to the designer's apartment. As her consciousness returned, plaintiff realized that she had been assaulted by Combs. All right, okay. Sis is saying she passed out, which if you've did what she's done, she was already drinking at dinner. She came back to the studio. They got her on some Hennessy, so she probably did pass out. It was a lot of mixing going on. She's saying when she woke up in the taxi cab, she felt like she had been assaulted. Now, this is tricky. Is she saying she felt like she was assaulted because of the oral situation of what happened in the bathroom? Or is she insinuating that more things happened outside of that? Only time will tell. The plaintiff felt humiliated and traumatized and without recourse. Oh, Diddy. They getting you, buddy. They getting you, buddy. All right. Combs' assault has caused the plaintiff lifelong harm. Following the assault, the plaintiff's modeling opportunities quickly began to dwindle and evaporated entirely. Upon information and belief, Combs had the plaintiff blackballed in the industry and utilized his significant influence to impede the plaintiff's career growth. The plaintiff became severely depressed as she began to blame herself for the assault and for sabotaging her own career. So maybe I don't understand, because no, I do understand. So she's pretty much insinuating that after this situation happened that Puff Daddy had her blackballed. So I don't know if he had her blackballed because he felt like if she got too big, she would end up telling her story or she would start telling people. So maybe he felt like this is a control thing. I need to have her blackballed, keep her far away. That way, if she does talk, maybe people don't believe her. But in her mind, she felt like Diddy had her blackballed. The plaintiff became severely depressed as she began to blame herself for the assault and for sabotaging her own career. The assault led the plaintiff into a tailspin of anxiety and depression. In or about 2004, the plaintiff attempted to unalive herself and was hospitalized. Everywhere the plaintiff looked, she was reminded of Combs' assault, as Combs was an inescapable presence in music, television, and film. In the ensuing years, plaintiff also experienced alcohol and drug addiction as she attempted to cope with the emotional trauma of being assaulted. Okay, that's key, right? It sounds like she has a history of alcohol and drugs, which, you know, if you're attempting to be a model and then your career goes down the drain, yeah, you're probably going to be depressed. You back home in Georgia, you probably drinking, you on drugs. But it's important that they put this in here and tie it to the assault, because what Puff Daddy's lawyers may attempt to do, they're going to dig in her past and they're going to find out she was on drugs and alcohol. Puff Daddy's people are going to try to attempt to make her an unreliable witness. They're going to say, look, this girl is on drugs. She's on alcohol. You can't believe nothing she said. She's drugged out. She could be making all this up. So I think it was smart, of course, for for her lawyer to go ahead and put this in the lawsuit to get ahead of it and say, yeah, she's been on drugs. She's done alcohol, but she's done all of these things because of what Puff Daddy did to her. All right. The plaintiff has also experienced intimacy issues as she struggles to maintain emotional and sexual relationships with men. That's another one. So it sounds like maybe, I don't know, maybe are they saying because of this situation, she's kind of been promiscuous? Because you got to get in front of that too, because Puff Daddy's team may start digging into her background and say, oh, well, she's on drugs, she's on alcohol, and she sleeps with a bunch of men. How are you going to believe her? Or They could say, we didn't take advantage of her. This is what she wanted to do. Look at her history. She dates a lot of men. You know, the victim blaming stuff. So, dang. Yeah. Good job getting ahead of that. So the plaintiff was married for approximately 2006 to 2010. However, her marriage fell apart as she had a mental breakdown by the memories of the assault. Combs' assault has altered the trajectory of the plaintiff's career, denying her a successful and lucrative career in modeling and the film industry. To this day, the plaintiff experienced bouts of depression, anxiety, body image issues, feelings of worthlessness, and intimacy issues because of Combs' assault. Plaintiff is a woman of faith, and when she saw the news coverage of the lawsuit from Miss Cassie Ventura, Miss Dickerson Neal, and others, she knew she had a moral obligation to speak up. Sis, you want to get paid. Let's keep it a buck. Yeah. You had a moral obligation, and you wanted to get that check. And I don't blame you, sis. Try to get that money. Plaintiff prayed before bringing this lawsuit as she feared further violence and or retaliation from the defendant's Combs, but ultimately decided she needed to speak her own truth. Plaintiff seeks justice for herself and for any of the other Combs victims. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this. All right, let me scroll through and see if we need to go through the rest of this stuff. I don't think so. I think that was the juice of it all, pretty much describing what happened. She wants a jury by trial. Dang. Diddy, they trying to get you, boy. I don't know what Diddy been doing. All right, so yeah, that's the lawsuit. Her lawsuit sounds very similar to the rest of the lawsuits. Everyone is pretty much insinuating that Puff Daddy likes to drug you up and try to take advantage of you. And you know what? I can usually point out people who be on drugs. Diddy has managed to go through this whole industry for the past 30 years, and I never knew he was like this type of druggie. Diddy is a druggie, allegedly. He be lit, bro. He be lit. Damn, Diddy. All right, so that's all we have for that. Let's look into some updated news. So, you know Diddy and 50 Cent don't get along. At first, I thought they was like trolling each other and playing with each other, but come to find out, like 50 Cent really don't like Puff Daddy. And I remember when all this stuff started coming out, 50 Cent was like, yo, I'm gonna work on a Puff Daddy documentary. But I thought he was trolling because, you know, 50 be trolling a lot. But no, come to find out, he really is working on a documentary. And he just sold the documentary to Netflix. Let me pull it up here. Bro, 50 Cent is crazy. Let's read about this documentary. Boom. TMZ. 50 Cent sells Diddy Doc to Netflix after bidding wars. 50 Cent has been hyping up his Diddy documentary for months, and he wasn't trolling his arch enemy, as the project just landed a prestigious new home, TMZ has learned. So this is my problem with this. I feel like you can't really do a Diddy documentary until it's all over. I think putting out a documentary right now is going to be like premature because there's so much information that we need to kind of wrap everything up, but let's continue reading. Multiple sources familiar with the situation tell TMZ 50's multi-part documentary about the assault allegations against Diddy was purchased by Netflix. We're told there was a massive bidding war over the doc, which was produced through 50 Cent's G-Unit Film and Television Studios, with multiple networks and all of the streaming platforms attempting to land this series. So it sounds like a lot of people wanted this, but he decided to go with Netflix, which I understand, but I don't understand because Diddy had all this beef with stars. Like, yo, I need to make my own studio. I don't want to deal with these big studios anymore. But you ended up selling it to Netflix. I wonder why he just ain't release it independently. But oh well, get your money, 50. Ultimately, the big N emerged the victor, which is Netflix, with sources telling TMZ the new Diddy docuseries will hit the streamers sooner than later. How can you put this out now? We ain't got all the information. That's all I got for today, man. I ain't got nothing left. 7th lawsuit. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Y'all say a prayer for Diddy.